Shidgim Shari.
Dune 3 might end up being a big disappointment after the $715 million success of Part 2 for three key reasons. But first, let's talk about how a change in Dune Part 2 shows why the franchise should wrap up after the next film. Dune Part 1 and Part 2 have done a great job of sticking to Frank Herbert's original story, highlighting the dangers of blind faith while showcasing some incredible visuals. However, there were some necessary changes in how certain elements were portrayed. One major difference is in the character depiction, especially with Paul Atreides' sister, Alia. In the book, she has a significant role and even kills Baron Harkonnen in a key battle. But in the films, she's mostly sidelined, appearing only briefly in a dream sequence. This choice works for the movie, but also hints that Dune Part 3 will likely be the final chapter in Villeneuve's adaptation. Cutting Alia from Dune Part 2 sets a concerning trend for the rest of the franchise, suggesting that other characters like her will face similar treatment. Before the film's release, Alia Atreides was seen as one of the most challenging characters to adapt. In the book, she is born with the full abilities of a Bene Gesserit, thanks to Lady Jessica drinking the water of life while pregnant. This makes her an adult mind in a child's body, which is tricky to portray on screen, as shown by the issues in David Lynch's 1984 adaptation. Given the complexity of Alia's character, it makes sense that Villeneuve opted to sidestep these challenges by keeping her in utero and condensing the story's timeline. As a result, she has a very limited role in Dune Part 2, mainly interacting with Jessica and Paul, but not engaging in any major action, like stabbing the Baron. While this choice simplifies the story and removes a complicated plot point, it also suggests that Alia and similar characters don't fit into the kind of narrative Villeneuve wants to create. Leto and Ghanima Atreides present even bigger challenges than Alia, and Villeneuve has hinted he might skip over their story altogether. While Alia's limited role in Dune Part 2 isn't too impactful, the future films will have to deal with Paul and Chani's kids, Leto and Ghanima, who are much harder to overlook. Like Alia, Leto and Ghanima possess supernatural maturity and Bene Gesserit abilities, acting like adults despite being children. In Frank Herbert's third book, Children of Dune, they behave in ways that would be unimaginable for typical kids, creating similar challenges to those posed by Alia in Dune Part 2. While Alia's minor role allowed her to be excluded, Leto and Ghanima are essential to the story. In how he handled Alia, Villeneuve has shown he doesn't believe these child characters contribute positively to storytelling. Leto and Ghanima play crucial roles in Children of Dune, directly confronting Alia as she succumbs to her grandfather Vladimir Harkonnen's influence. Therefore, any adaptation of Children of Dune would need to include them prominently. Given Villeneuve's treatment of Alia, it seems he may feel that adapting Children of Dune doesn't align with his storytelling vision. As a result, it looks like the third film, likely based on Dune Messiah, will mark the end of his adaptation. Dune 3 also risks being a letdown for three key reasons, one of which is that Dune Messiah doesn't include the sandworms, a major highlight of the first two films. The stunning visuals of the sandworms in Dune Part 1 and 2 played a significant role in their success. While the films tackle heavy themes like fate, destiny, and the dangers of religion, the giant sandworms provided an exciting spectacle that makes the story more engaging for viewers eager to see Herbert's grand vision come to life. Plus, the sandworms' connection to spice makes them crucial to the plot. In contrast to Dune Part 2, where the sandworms are integral to Paul's strategies against the Emperor and the Harkonnens, they take on a much less significant role in Messiah. While Part 2 is an epic war drama filled with thrilling battles, Messiah is more self-contained and minimalist, focusing on internal political struggles and subtle scheming. This understated approach isn't boring. It reflects the nature of Paul's near omnipotence, meaning a direct physical challenge to his power would be tough to achieve. However, for audiences used to the intense battles and massive creatures from the earlier films, the absence of sandworms and major fights might feel disappointing. If Dune 3 follows the plot of Messiah, it could seem smaller and less exciting to fans drawn in by Villeneuve's action-packed adaptations. Another issue is that Chani's role in the book is much less empowering, despite her standout portrayal in Dune Part 2. One of the best changes in that film was elevating Chani from the minor character to a central moral compass. She balanced her loyalty to her people with her relationship with Paul, often grappling with the two. In the movie, she had significantly more agency, even choosing to flee into the desert at a crucial moment instead of simply remaining as Paul's concubine. Thanks to this evolution and Zendaya's captivating performance, Chani has become a fan favorite. Unfortunately, in Dune 3, there's a strong chance that her character will revert to a less dynamic role, as her narrative arc is bound to diminish her from the fierce warrior we saw in the first two films. If Villeneuve sticks closely to Messiah's storyline, Chani's independence will take a hit. A significant part of the plot revolves around Paul's realization that he needs an heir to strengthen his empire, and he learns that his wife Irulan is secretly giving Chani contraceptives to prevent her from getting pregnant. Paul is aware of this, but knows that once Chani has a child, she will die, forcing him to keep things as they are. If the film follows this closely, Chani will be reduced to a character whose primary purpose is to motivate Paul. Given how much viewers loved her character in Part 2, this shift is likely to surprise and disappoint many fans. Lastly, Paul's holy war isn't really central to the story, which means the cliffhanger from Part 2 won't really pay off. The ending of Dune Part 2, where the Fremen are unleashed on the galaxy, is both exciting and daunting. It hints at a major conflict and chaos for anyone who doesn't follow the Lisan al-Gaib. For those expecting an action-packed sequel, it seems like Dune Messiah will take a much quieter approach. Instead of diving into the violence and turmoil of Paul's reign, which supposedly results in around 61 billion deaths, Dune Messiah shifts the focus away from the war. Set 12 years after Dune, the conflict happens off-screen, and the story centers on Paul's struggle to navigate the best path for humanity amidst a conspiracy to assassinate him. It becomes more of a political thriller rather than an epic battle saga, which might not align with what many viewers of Part 2 are hoping for. The fact that Dune Part 3 likely won't delve into the Holy War and will focus more on events in Arrakis could disappoint fans looking for more action. While this narrative choice makes sense, since fully capturing the horror of the Holy War would be a daunting task, it might feel underwhelming, especially after the thrilling Battle of Arrakis in Part 2. By skipping the immediate fallout of Paul's victory, some new fans might feel a bit cheated. Dune Part 3 still has the potential to be a huge hit, even if Dune Messiah takes a different approach than what we've seen in Denis Villeneuve's first two films. While Messiah shifts away from the spectacle we've come to expect, it offers a fantastic way to wrap up the saga, focusing on Paul's journey. In the first two movies, we watched Paul evolve from an optimistic hero to someone who could potentially be a villain, and that's at the heart of their success. Dune Messiah perfectly ties up this arc. The original story dives deep into Paul's struggles, like balancing his immense powers with his desire for a normal life with Chani, which makes him such a fascinating character. This complexity gives any adaptation a ton of exciting material to work with, regardless of how it differs from the earlier films. So, even with its unique take, Dune 3 can definitely leave fans satisfied. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel to get updated regularly with the latest update. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you at the next one.